Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are now looking at the obstacles for the spiritual growth and analyzing Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, sloka 40. After discussing that it is Jnanam that is really the supreme yajna of all yajnas, the Jnana Yoga or Jnana Yajna is the supreme. So one who is Jnana Yajna means offering. So offering Jnanam itself to remove the ignorance, because that is the fundamental, ignorance is the fundamental problem, and ignorance can only be removed by the Jnanam, and all other things are only ultimately a means to remove this, to gain the knowledge, or to prepare the mind to gain the knowledge. So all sadhanas are essential for purification of the mind, and once the purification of the mind is achieved, when one is able to understand and listen to the scriptures, and the sadhanas have done their part, now Jnanam has to take place. Jnanam can only taking place by Shraddha, by constant faith in the teaching itself, as one listens to the teaching through a teacher who is himself established or learned scriptures from his teacher and abiding in that knowledge. So the sloka 440 says, Ajñascha Shraddhadhanascha Samsayatma Vinasyati Nayam Lokosti na Paro Na Sukham Samsayatmanaha. So here we are talking about the first aspect, the Ajñaha, the one who does not understand clearly, where the problem, even in spite of the teaching of the Vedanta, he remains Ajñaha, because if you ask somebody, say, have you understood Vedanta? Says, now I understood Vedanta, now I have to meditate on that. So there is enough of intellectual discussions, now I have to sit down and realize. That means he has not understood. Why? Because the understanding itself should remove the ignorance. There is nothing more to do. So understanding that I am the totality, that is Mahavakyas, and Tattvamasi, you are that, is sufficient to relieve myself from notions that I am this, identifying with the local equipments, and de-identifying or re-identifying myself as what I am, because that is the real truth, because I am is a conscious entity and existent entity. So this knowledge has not synced in properly, and therefore why it's not properly, we analyze that because of the lingering vasanas. And here Krishna emphasizes the understanding has to be crystal clear, and otherwise you still be considered as Ajñaha. And here the Ajñanam arises because of several reasons that we talked about, because of many Vedantins also have the same problem in spite of study of the Vedanta, because they have undergone a particular tradition that exemplifies as moksha as another place or to go. It is something, apraptasya praptam, gaining something that I cannot gain, and only to gain is by surrendering to the Lord, and Lord alone gives you moksha. So that is moksha ishyami, I give the moksha. When he says that, therefore you have to completely surrender to that reality for me to gain that knowledge. And therefore people who have brought up in the tradition or locked into the tradition can only think in that way. Why that cannot be real and why Advaita is real, we analyzed this yesterday in the last talk, because the moksha or freedom from liberation has to be desakala aparichinnatvam. That means it cannot be limited by space-wise time wise or object wise. So any moksha, when it is not here and somewhere else I had to go, that means it's already limited by space because it's not here, and I had to go somewhere, Vaikuntha or Kailas or whatever, even though it may be a Divya Vibhuti and this is only Loka Vibhuti, the Leela Vibhuti, that is four. That's what Purusha Suktam says this is one padam, and that is tripadasya amrutam devi. So that is three padam, and emphasizing the literal meaning of that, saying that it is somewhere else, and that Tadhama Paramam Mada, that is my Paramapadam, is supreme, and therefore taking that something higher that has to be, and that can only be done by surrendering to the Lord, and Lord himself gives you moksha. So that's how the understanding is. In fact, not all the lords are capable of doing, only Lord Narayana and his avatars are only able to give moksha, and not other gods. Also, Daivim Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Pratadjante Mame Vaye Prayadjante Mayametam Tarantite. I'm not getting sloka properly. So that Mamevaye Prapadjante, by surrendering to me alone, where to me is equated to Lord Narayana or Lord Krishna or his avatars, because his avatars are also Purnamada Purnamidam is explained in terms of that which came from him, and that is also Purnam, therefore it can give moksha also. So only Narayana can give moksha according to them. So we have the different types of teaching, and people argue and continuously discuss about this. So that is moksha, this is not moksha. You cannot gain moksha in this lokam because this is a apavitram and this is an impure world. You have to go to purify, and you have to go somewhere else. You have to go to Vaitarni Nadi and take a dip there, and you have a different body which is made up of sattva material, and there the Mahalakshmi will receive you, say, Beta, you have come at last to me, and dresses you properly and presents you to the Father. That's why, according to the Visishtadvaita, it is Sri Vaishnavism. That is, you have to go through Sri Lakshmi only, the mother, and mother is the one that presents you to the Father, and therefore through Lakshmi only one can gain the moksha, and that's what being emphasized in that. So, and people who are Vedantis and interpret the Vedantic statements, and we said there are Abheda Vakyas and Veda Vakyas. Emphasis are given to the Veda Vakyas rather than the Abheda Vakyas. Abheda Vakyas are considered only glorifying statement. In terms of Tattvamasi statement, the Visishtadvaita uses the Tattvamasi statement as a Visheshana Visheshabhyam Samanadhikaranam that we discussed before, as a Visheshana and Visheshya are Samanadhikaram. Tat Tvamasi, Tvam is a Visheshana of Tat, that is of Brahman, you are only a Visheshanam. That's why it's called Visishtadvaita, where Jivas forms a total Narayana as a part of him, as the sharira, limbs of the body. That's called essentially the Visishta Advaita, which is essentially Sharira Saririka Bhava, where I am only part of him and he is the total, and part cannot be total, but recognizing that I am part of the total itself is the moksha, and that's what according to them. But when the moksha means freedom from limitations, and limitations has to be desakala vastu parichinnatvam, or the limitations space wise, time wise and object wise. So it's not going somewhere, gaining something, and if I have to gain moksha, or if it is given, somebody gives moksha, then it is not, I don't have it, then I'm going to get it, and if I'm going to get it, I can also get it out also, somebody can remove it also, because it's not my nature. So therefore, moksha has to be freedom from limitations of space-wise, time-wise and object-wise. That means here and now are beyond the space and time. Why now? We explained that now is a present, and in the present there is no tense there other than your tense, but there is no tense because present is the constant time. You can only live in the present, act in the present and enjoy in the present, and you are only in the present only. Past is gone, a second is gone, microsecond is gone, a picosecond has gone, and another picosecond hasn't come yet, and that present is a moving present all the time, eternally present. And where that presence is, I am present all the time. I am an observer, and even time is observed. Without me, time cannot be observed. So I am there, but if there is no sequence of events, then time is also not there. Time comes when there is the object and the response of it. That means there is the karana, karyam is there, cause-effect relationship produces the time also. Whereas the space is mentioned that it is gap between two observation of two simultaneous points. If I see 2 points simultaneously, the gap is the defined. If I have only 1 point, I cannot define the space. That's why even in the science also, if you ask where did the Big Bang occur, they cannot have a space or time also, because Big Bang is only one event. You need 2 events in order to define time, and Big Bang is only a point in the space, and in fact there is no space also to define a space. So where Big Bang occurred everywhere. Everywhere is what? Everywhere is again concept of space. Therefore, it is singularity. Singularity means you cannot really define or ask the question where, when, and all that. I can only define time by a million second after the Big Bang. Now, because I have 2 events now, one is after and one is at the Big Bang, and I can define now time and also space, because when bang occurred, the things are moving out. But when the bang occurred, how did it bang occur? Because by the laws of nature only, banging laws are there. But how did the banging laws come into picture? That also cannot be answered. This is all essentially problem of the singularity. As whereas the Vedanta says you cannot analyze the system because you are only looking at the matter there, but consciousness also has to be included. So investigator also has to be included in the investigation, and you cannot investigate the investigator by an investigator using the objective tools, because it's a consciousness, and consciousness cannot be objectified. Therefore, neither science can answer, and the people who are using the Vedanta and interpret and say moksha is somewhere else and all that are all not there too. Therefore, correct understanding, clear understanding is what is jnanam. Jnanam is crystal clear understanding of the truth, abiding in the knowledge. Therefore, that is what is required, and therefore Krishna emphasizes ajñascha, and says ajñascha, ashraddhadanascha, the one who does not have a shraddha. Shraddha means the faith. What kind of faith here? There are 2 ashraddhas, or 2 types of not having a faith. Not having a faith in the pramana and not having a faith in the pramata. What does that mean? Pramana is Vedanta Pramana. Vedanta is trying to point out something higher, and itself it's not really, cannot tell you what exactly is that is, because if it tells you, then it's again something that is which can be objectified. It's only Lakshanataya, that means only pointing for you in the direction for you to contemplate on. So Vedanta as a Pramana, it means it does not going to reveal you this is Brahman, it only tells you you are that already, so contemplate on that, don't think yourself. So it removes the ajnanam, and ajnanam is wrong notions about yourself, because I have already wrong notions about what I am, and therefore establishes the right notions. So where is the problem? Problem is I cannot accept it, because it says I am the totality and I am infinite. So he says, how can I be infinite? Because if I am infinite, why am I so locally located? And because my experience contradicts the teaching itself, and therefore experience based, because I want to experience Brahman also, and that's why people want to experience Brahman, but experience here is experiencing that I am the local guy, and that is contradicting what the scriptures is saying, because you are Brahman, therefore you cannot be located. Why? Because infinite cannot be located. It's infinite. Location is only for a finite space and finite time. And therefore, it is this, the faith in the scriptures is required, and lack of faith in the scriptural statements is the one of the ashraddha. What's the lack here? You are that. Is the lack? Because I am that. Says right now also scripture said, I am not this, I am neti neti vakyani, I am not this, I am not this, he started. And now I says I am that also. Says there seems to be contradiction in the statement of the scripture also. So what it negates as in the I am not that, and what is ascertains as I am that, has to be crystal clear. Why? Because when I am saying, when the scripture says neti neti, it is negating the superficial attributive content of the jagat itself, and the jagat includes the prakriti, and what I am taking is I am this, and because starting with the body, idam, anything idam is nedam, not this, not this. So starting with the world, I am not that, which everybody can understand, but starting with the body, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intellect, all that has to be understood. But at the same time, you are that. That means totality also, and which I have rejected I also include now, and says therefore there is a problem in understanding what I am including and what I am rejecting also. What I am rejecting is not intellectually to be rejected. It has to be intellectually rejected, not physically rejected, because I cannot physically reject, because the Brahman is infinite. I cannot reject something out of Brahman, because there is nothing out of Brahman. Everything is in the Brahman only. Because Brahman being infinite, there cannot be anything away from Brahman. Even Ajnanam also in the Brahman only. But ontologically, we are talking about Paramarthika Satyam. From the pure Brahman point, there is no creation even. There is no Jnani or Ajnani. All this is only at the Vyavaharika level, including the process of self-realization. Because only the one who has a notion, wrong notions, have to realize that Brahman has no wrong notions. It is pure, the Prajnana Ghanam. It is consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. That means infinite. So therefore there is no inert things at all. So if there is inert thing, that's only at the transactional level. So not having a faith in the scriptural statement is the ashraddha. That is pramana ashraddha. Shraddha about the pramana. The second aspect is pramata ashraddha. Means even I have faith in this, but not accepting the statement that I am infinite, because it is contradicting the experiences thoroughly, because I have to go through in and out every day, transacting and living in the world, living in the limitations of the world, and every time I look around, everything I am limited, and I have to depend on so many people for my even to live also. To get a food, to give anything to be done, you have to depend on something other than yourself. So any dependence other than yourself for happiness is a misery and is a slavery. So that essentially sarvam paravasham dukkham, sarvam atmavasham sukham, etad vidya samasena lakshanam sukha dukkhayoho. In the Manusruti, it says any dependence on other than yourself for your happiness is bound to be a slavery only. But I cannot but depend on my transactions. Then how am I going to live? For to breathe, I have to depend on something else, air, and to drink water, I need water. For food, I need to depend on something, and food doesn't come unless somebody grows. So I have to depend on so many factors. Yet, I can transactionally dependent, but not conceptually dependent. That means I had to stand apart and look myself, and that's called the pramata. So I cannot accept myself as infinite, because I am taking so deeply this I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the intellect, I am a jiva, I am a local entity, I am a helpless guy, the whole universe is so big, and the whole universe is pounding on me. All that is because of life after life after life. I have lived in that notion, and it's very difficult to get rid of that notion, and that lack of shraddha in the scriptural statement understand that you are in fact infinite. So drop all of the wrong notions about yourself, about the world, about the God also. All that has to be, therefore, ashraddhadanascha, the one who does not have faith in the scriptural statement is the one that is causing a problem. And that was one of the second statement of second cause for obstacle for spiritual growth. So ajñasya ashraddhadanascha samsayatma vinasyati nayam lokaha asti na paraha na sukham samsayatmanaha. The second one, the third one is about the doubt about it, and that we will analyze as in the next talk. Stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.